J-Roll Electronic Productions, baby.
Welcome to DEMOCREPUBLIX, where we cover the real news that matters to we the people. Bombshell. Leaked transcript reveal Biden pressured then Afghan President Ghani to lie about Taliban advances to downplay crisis. Now, we got the actual transcripts. Remember, Trump was impeached for a lot less. We got, and people are dying over this. What's going on? And we got Americans stranded because of his lies and his deceit. But this is from the Gateway Pundit. They report that, as if it wasn't bad enough for Sleepy Joe already, even the deep state has begun to throw him under the bus for his incompetency in Afghanistan. On Tuesday, Reuters obtained leaked transcripts of Biden's final call with Ashraf Ghani, the recently departed president of Afghanistan, before the Taliban completed their overthrow of the country. During the call on July 23rd, Ghani communicated how serious the situation was, saying the country was undergoing an assault from a, quote, full-scale invasion of about 10,000 to 15,000 international terrorists. He also explained that the Taliban had fully logistical support and planning courtesy of Pakistan. He told them this. Now, so Biden was aware that had this information, first-hand information from the president of Afghanistan, and he still pulled out the way he did. Pulled the troops out first after knowing this. I mean, so he actually knew that it was a bunch of troops and they had logistics and everything, and still pulled out the way he did. Still pulled and left them the equipment there. So I mean, it had to be on purpose. This had to be by design. But the article goes on to say that Biden paid no attention. He pressured the then president to create a perception that the Taliban had been advancing at such a rapid pace, whether it was true or not. And this is a quote from the transcript. He said, "I need not tell you the perception around the world and in parts of Afghanistan. I believe is that things are not going well in terms of the fight against the Taliban. And there is a need, whether it is true or not, there is a need to project a different picture." Biden then offered Ghani U.S. military aid, including air support, if he agreed to lie about the situation on the ground. He also asked the Afghan president to gather powerful warlords in the area to help change the narrative about the Taliban winning. I mean, this is just deceit on top of deceit. He said, "You clearly have the best military. You have 300,000 well-armed forces versus 70 to 80,000, and they're clearly capable of fighting well. We will continue to provide close air support if we know what the plan is and what we are doing," he said. And he said, it goes on to say, "But I really think I don't know whether you're aware just how much the perception around the world is that it is looking like a losing proposition, which it is not. Not that necessarily is that. But, so the conclusion I'm asking you to consider is to bring together everyone from former Vice President Abdul Rashid Dostum to former President Hamid Karzai, and in between," he said, "if they stand there and they back the strategy you put together and put a warrior in charge, a military man, Khan in charge of executing that strategy, and that will change the perception, and that will change an awful lot, I think." So he clearly knew that the Taliban was advancing, and again, he still decided to pull out the troops. He still decided to close down Bagram Base, which makes no logical sense, and leave all those $90 billion worth of weapons, which is another, also makes no sense. I think they said it was around a half a million rifles. So he left them weapons, and he want to take away my weapon at the same time. This is our president right here. The Afghan president refused Biden's shameless offer, Less than a month after the call, Ghani fled the presidential palace in Kabul, and I can't blame him. You see what happened to our allies or people that don't listen to the United States. You know, they end up in the middle of their streets with stuff poked in places, you know, like we did in Libya. So he fled. I'm not mad at him. And the government that U.S. forces had built over the past 20 years had officially fallen. Another quid pro quo, perhaps. Sounds like Ukraine all over again, only this time the country was actively under attack when Biden refused to send help, and 13 U.S. military members are now dead because they were forced to trust the Taliban for their safety. This is terrible. Who are they going to impeach this time, now that they don't have Trump to pin Joe's corruption on? And I guarantee they're going to fight this. I mean, we have clearly grounds for impeachment, and you don't hear anyone in the mainstream media actually talking about it. But they have trumped up charges, pun intended, with Trump, and impeach him twice. It's nuts. Reuters got, this is just a tweet from Dave Lawler. Reuters got transcripts of Biden's last call with Ghani. So yeah, that's basically just a tweet saying the same thing. But the article goes on to say it wasn't just Biden who tried to strong arm the Afghan government into spreading propaganda. Woke General Mark Milley, he needs to go. Mark Milley needs to go. Also pressured Ghani after he refused the first time in a follow-up phone call later that same day. Quote, the perception in the United States, see, they keep talking about the perception. The perception in the United States, in Europe, and the media sort of thing is a narrative of Taliban momentum and a narrative of Taliban victory. But it was true. You see how they try to hide the truth? They try to obfuscate. They try to lie. And we need to collectively demonstrate and try to turn that perception, that narrative around. So how come you didn't bomb them then when you knew this was happening? How come you just let them grow and continue to move on through the country? Millie, you too busy worried about, what do you call it? White rage, whatever that means, in your fake woke culture. In the months leading up to the nightmare of Afghanistan evacuation, Biden was telling the public that the withdrawal would be done smoothly and that the Washington's Afghan allies were in control. The newly uncovered transcript confirmed that this was never the case. Biden attempting to coerce Ghani to downplay the Taliban advances just proved that he and his State Department had been lying about the crisis in Afghanistan from the beginning. That's what I've been saying. They knew from the beginning that the Taliban was taking over, that the Taliban was advancing, and they decided to do nothing about it. They actually decided to help the Taliban by leaving them $90 billion worth of weapons. These crooks knew the whole time that Afghan forces were ill prepared to handle the onslaught of terrorists, especially once they were handed over billions in high-tech weaponry when the U.S. abruptly left the middle of the night. But Biden gave the order to withdraw all troops anyway. His regime had repeatedly claimed that nobody could have known the country would fall into the terrorist hands. Biden even reiterated that lie in an address on Tuesday. Quote, the assumption that the Afghan government would be able to hold on for a period of time beyond military drawdown turned out not to be accurate. But I still instructed our national security team to prepare for every eventuality, even that one. And that's what we did. So if they planned for it and it still ended up as bad as it did, what does that mean for your planning? But the article goes on, he continued to say that, so we were ready when the Afghan security forces, after 2 decades of fighting for their country and losing thousands of their own, did not hold on as long as anyone expected. So either you did expect it or you didn't expect it. Which one was it? I mean, Biden has consistently held the line on this lie, even denying that his own intelligence agency had predicted the collapse of Afghanistan to the Taliban. The Daily Mail compiled some of the most egregious statements from the past month. I'll probably go over because I think they did like 9 of them. I think I might go over that later into detail, but just to go over really quick, it says he said, I don't think anybody anticipated that. Biden told ABC when asked about the swift disintegration of the Afghan security forces. It is not inevitable. When Biden was asked if he trusted the Taliban, the president replied, no, but I trust the capacity of the Afghan military, who is better trained, better equipped, and more competent in terms of conducting war, which turned out not to be true. The president was then asked about his own intelligence community's assessment that the Afghan government would likely collapse. He said that is not true. They did not reach that conclusion. The intelligence community did say that back on June or July that in fact this was going to collapse like it did. Biden told ABC News earlier this month. See how he go back and forth with his own lies? Biden said that he was not told that the Taliban would take over as quickly as they did. Instead, he said that there was a possibility it would take more time. Not even close, Biden said. Behind the scenes, Biden and his anti-American regime knew that the situation was unstable, but decided to plow ahead with the worst foreign policy debacle in American history. Anyways, his disastrous decision-making and subsequent slow walking have led his own intelligence community to begin anonymously leaking transcripts so they can hang their crime on the president while shielding the deep state. See, Biden, you thought the deep state was on your side. No, they are there to protect themselves, not the president. Biden isn't in charge of anything, but he sure bears responsibility. The problem is much deeper than him, though many people in Washington need to be dragged out of their handcuffs. These people are traitors, and I agree. There's no way they didn't know this stuff was going to happen. Multiple experts said this was going to happen. They didn't listen. They actually left weapons and before they pulled out, which makes absolutely no sense unless you wanted them to have them weapons. But let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, subscribe, and check out DEMOCREPUBLIX for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.